I don't know about you, but I'm so damn tired of seeing women being killed because some men can't control their own emotions. We see far too often that people will get angry over something and all they want to do is blame everyone but themselves. And in many cases, these people will take their anger out on the subject of their rage no matter how wrong or misguided. In this case, we can see how a young man finds out some devastating news, but instead of looking introspectively or even thinking about anything for 1 second, he immediately chooses who to blame, and without thinking, he acts on it. And to go even further, his own mother encouraged his senseless anger and helped him carry the entire thing out. It's all just appalling. But before we get into the case, I want to say a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Rocket Money. Now, I'm someone who has trouble keeping a close eye on spending and budgeting, especially nowadays when literally everything is a subscription service that comes out of my accounts all at different times. It can be a lot to keep track of. Sometimes it feels near impossible to keep track of everyday bills, loan payments, rent, and wherever else all my money is going. I am huge on saving money, but I know that there are so many ways that I can be saving even more. And that is where Rocket Money comes in. Rocket Money is an all-in-one personal finance platform that helps you save money and spend less. Rocket Money helps save money in so many different ways. Rocket Money can cancel unwanted subscriptions by identifying recurring charges and cancels them for you with just one tap. No more spending hours on the phone with someone who keeps trying to get you to keep your subscription, promising to offer discounts and things like that to try and sucker you into staying, which, by the way, they only offer these discounts after you're threatening to cancel the subscription. They never give them to you just right out. I think it's so sketchy when companies do that, and honestly, it's really annoying. So I'm glad that Rocket Money can take care of it for me. Rocket Money can also help you lower your bills, which I think is one of the coolest features. All you do is upload a photo by tapping a button, and Rocket Money can negotiate your bills from your internet service bill to cell phone and cable bills as well. The other thing I use a lot with Rocket Money is their budgeting feature. Rocket Money sets up a budget that automatically monitors your spending by category, and it will give you notifications when you exceed your budget. And each month, it will give you a visual ratio of where your money was spent. Then you can also set up a smart savings account where you choose the amount and frequency, and Rocket Money will automatically deposit savings into a smart savings account where you can withdraw it at any time. That is another one of my favorite features. So if you want to start saving more and spending less with ease, make sure you use my link down below at rocketmoney.com/RachelShannon to download Rocket Money and unlock more features with premium. Again, make sure you head to rocketmoney.com/RachelShannon to download Rocket Money now. Thank you again so much to Rocket Money for partnering with me on today's video. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into the case. Today, we are going to be discussing the tragic, senseless murder of Brooklyn Sims. 18-year-old Brooklyn Sims was described by friends and family as a soft-spoken young lady who just had the best heart. She had a bright smile and an amazing sense of humor. She could walk into a room and make anyone laugh and smile. She was the life of the party, and she could make friends with just about anyone. Brooklyn also had a 2-year-old daughter, Casey, who she loved with everything she had. All she wanted in life was to be the best mother she could possibly be. Casey was Brooklyn's entire world. At the time, Brooklyn and Casey were living in Pensacola, Florida. The father of Brooklyn's 2-year-old daughter is a 20-year-old named Keith Agee, who had been living in Alabama at the time. Keith and Brooklyn had been in an on-again, off-again relationship for about 3 years at that point. During that time, they had lived together on and off, breaking up and making up multiple times. According to those who knew both Keith and Brooklyn, their relationship had been rocky from the very start. Brooklyn's friends said that Keith never treated Brooklyn well, but because they had a baby together, she was trying to co-parent with Keith. All she wanted to do was give her baby the best life possible, and if that meant continuing to co-parent with Keith, that is what she was going to do. While co-parenting, they would still see each other romantically from time to time. Keith later described that they would still sleep together once in a while. Sometimes they would spend time at either of their houses, watching movies together and laughing, playing with their daughter, and enjoying time spent as a family. August 11th, 2003 started as any normal day. According to Keith, he had worked that previous night and had work again that day. He woke up, got ready for work, and left, getting to his job shortly after. Now, a few weeks prior to that, Keith started noticing some uncomfortable changes to his body. It hurt to pee, and he noticed some unusual pain down there. So he went to a local urgent care and got an STD test done to make sure that things were all good. That day, August 11th, he received a call from that urgent care facility to inform him the results of that STD test. He found out that he actually tested positive for gonorrhea. After receiving this awful news, Keith was immediately upset and enraged. He said that the last time he slept with someone other than Brooklyn was 2 months prior to that. After the one hookup 2 months ago, Brooklyn was the only girl that he had been with. So, right away, he felt that Brooklyn had to have been the one who gave him that STD. By that point, Keith was fed up. He was angry, betrayed, hurt, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do. According to texts later uncovered by police, Keith texted his mother, Sheila Agee, saying that he wanted to kill Brooklyn for what she has done to him. And the way she responds is shocking and disturbing. She basically just went along with it and accepted it from the jump, even encouraging him to do it, not questioning Keith for even a second. She didn't say anything to try and dissuade her son from acting so erratically on his emotions. She immediately supports him and helps him plan out exactly what he should do. It's just appalling, given that Sheila and Brooklyn actually had a relatively close relationship. After all, Sheila is the grandmother to Brooklyn's baby girl. Now, I want to note again that Keith lived in Calvert, Alabama, about 90 minutes away from Pensacola, Florida. So it's not like this happened within a few minutes and a spur-of-the-moment type of anger. This took place over the course of over an hour and a half. Also, at the time, Brooklyn was working a shift at Home Depot where she worked as an inventory associate. Meanwhile, Sheila also worked as a manager for the same Home Depot and was actually the one who hired Brooklyn originally. The two worked closely together, interacting frequently at the store. Sheila would even sometimes drive Brooklyn to work with her, giving her a ride that August 11th. So, the fact that Sheila was so quick to accept what Keith wanted to do makes it that much more shocking, knowing that the two of them actually had a decently close relationship. In the text messages, we can see that Sheila is more concerned with herself being hurt in the midst of things, telling Keith not to shoot her or her car. Then, after discussing how Keith is going to kill Brooklyn, Sheila and Keith discuss that they need to delete their messages so that they can get rid of evidence. They think that they're just so smart and have this entire situation figured out. What could possibly go wrong? Now, just like other cases that we have covered in the past few weeks, I'm going to kind of reword things just a bit to make them easier to read and understand. They use slang and grammar that can make it difficult to read off, so just bear with me. Those texts between 20-year-old Keith and his mother, 50-year-old Sheila, start at 10:37 a.m. and go until 12:40 p.m. They read as follows. Keith, she ain't do none but cost me money and give me a blank. I'm finja a shooter. I know I hate that for Casey, but like I said, I can't take it. IDGAF no mo. Sheila, okay. Sheila, again, okay. I'll call you and tell you MF if you want to go to jail. I'll tell you when we get close, but if you don't come kill her, you an MF bitch. So, mother effing bitch. Sheila, don't call Nanny and tell her. She will try to talk you out of it. Keith, I ain't even going to tell her why I left. I'm just say I gotta go to the dentist. Sheila, don't even go there. She won't know you left. Don't shoot up my car, MF. I don't want to die. Keith, I'm not. Sheila, wait till I put her out. Keith, I was gonna wait till she got out. Sheila, okay. Keith, but that's another thing. If she don't get out that car, mama, and I have to drag her out or can't, I'm gonna ask you to step out because I'm open the door and just shoot her. Sheila, as long as you don't shoot me. Sheila, hell, if you getting off work now, I'll give you the address here and you can ride over here and do it so you don't have to do it in front of Casey. Keith, send it to me. Sheila, we just in Pensacola. Keith, I'm on the way, send it. Sheila, hold up, let me get it. Erase the text because I don't want nobody knowing I was texting yo stupid ass. Keith, I already deleted mine. Trust me, I ain't gonna say shit about us even talking today. Keith, what's the address? Sheila, I can't wait to get back to that store to give you the address because you're gonna have to shoot me today. I done told you about cussing me. Keith, all I want is that address, mama. I'm done talking. I done talked enough. I know what's gonna happen and I'm okay with that. I done already been thinking it through and this the only way for me. I don't know why you so quick to start shit with me, but again, must be scared of Brooklyn or some. I don't know. Keith, she gonna be on the floor, right? Sheila, waiting on you. Keith, I'm saying I'm gonna have to find her in the back or some. Sheila, nope. Keith, okay. Keith, stay out my way. Sheila, I am. Keith, LOL man, get off my phone. All I needed was that address. Leave me alone. Finish your workday. And you is to forget I forgot just me. Keith, so that last thought of her knowing she effed and the regret in her face will be enough to satisfy me. I don't give an F what she see when she dead. Yes, the F she do. How the F I'm pick her up when yo sorry ass trying to go gamble or hang in Jackson and she don't pick up the phone. Nah, that ain't even gonna fly. She just died before I let that happen. Sheila, okay, whatever. I don't care what you do. I don't give an F. Cause I'm going home today, not to hell or to jail. Keith, good for you. Sheila, okay, then stop texting me. I'm working. Do whatever you want to do. It don't affect me either effing way. Now, again, Keith was at work when he received the call about the positive STD test. So while he was texting his mom, he had left work and then drove the few minutes it took to go home. There, he quickly ran inside the home, grabbed his 9mm handgun, and got back in his car. He then started to drive to Pensacola with the intention of going to that Home Depot to confront Brooklyn and get revenge for what he thought she did. For the next 90 minutes, he sat there in his car, stewing in his rage as he drove down the highway with the thought in his head about what he was going to do to his ex-girlfriend. According to surveillance cameras from the Home Depot, Keith arrived and entered the store at around 1:30 p.m. He walks down the aisles looking for Brooklyn until he sees her in aisle 52. According to Keith, after walking in and seeing Brooklyn, for a moment, he was brought back down to earth. He said that he didn't feel quite as rageful as he was in the car, but he still wanted to confront her. So he walked up to her, tapped her on the shoulder, and said, "Hey, you gave me something." To this, Brooklyn responded, "Not this again," and then turned around and started to walk off from him. According to Keith, this response caused him to go into a rage that he had never felt before. He had never been angrier in his life. So he pulled the gun from his waistband, then started shooting at Brooklyn over and over and over again. In total, he rang out 7 shots from his pistol. Of course, he hit Brooklyn several times, killing her on the scene. During the whole ordeal, there were 2 others who were working in the same aisle as Brooklyn. Both of them had been shot by Keith as well. One of the employees was running away from the shots when one of the bullets grazed her back. The other employee, who is described as a longtime friend of Brooklyn's, she was shot in the hand as she tried to run away. Both were transported to the hospital, and thankfully, both victims survived, sustaining only minor injuries. Now, at the time of the shooting, another employee who heard the shots ran to the back of the counter and called 911 to report what happened.
Well, I came back from a lunch break. I went behind the counter to go pick up my trusty iPad I use for surveying. And I was talking to a coworker, and I heard pop, 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 like 5 or 6 rounds go off. And I realized it was a gun, and I told him, I said, duck and cover. And I went right up underneath the counter, back behind the main counter, and I was sat there Indian style, and I called 911. I spoke with the nice lady. She told me to stay on the line. I gave her all the information I could, told her where the shooting occurred. I didn't see it. I just heard it, and I realized it was an active shooter. And then I was talking to her, giving her the exact location of where we were, telling her about aisle 3 and the entrance, and then I heard someone was hurt, and I said, also please send paramedics, and I stayed with her on the line until the police arrived and told us to evacuate.
I know you're still processing. It just happened maybe an hour ago?
Roughly within the last 45 minutes.
Have you had Did you check to see some of your other friends if they were okay, or?
They pretty much ran for it from what I could see. I stayed in, out of sight, out of mind. Usually if you run from an active shooter, it's more of a target for them. So you want to duck and cover. I just called 911. I was very calm, very collected. Gave the operator all the information that I knew. She was very helpful, very kind and compassionate, and just told me to stay on the line until deputies arrived, and then they swarmed the place. And apparently someone gave a very good description. They were found. They have the suspect in custody. And I don't know how many people were injured. I heard just one died. And then while I was outside with my fellow employees, there was EMS called. I guess someone passed out. Yeah.
Immediately after shooting and killing Brooklyn, Keith ran out of the Home Depot, got into his car, and immediately drove off. As he was driving, he threw the gun out of the window and parked by a nearby Lowe's. He then started heading towards a nearby movie theater before stopping at a pizza restaurant in their parking lot, where he called 911 to turn himself in. When police arrived to the scene, they found that Keith was in the parking lot, shirtless, and walking towards police. He surrendered and was arrested without incident. From there, Keith was charged with Brooklyn's murder. Police then looked around the area to see if they could find the gun that killed her, and they did. It had been lying on the side of Davis Highway, where it landed when Keith threw it out the window. At his initial court hearing, Keith was denied bail and was ordered to await his trial in jail. Now, of course, with this case, even though it was obvious that Keith was responsible for the murder, they still wanted to figure out why he did this and what led up to it. So, of course, police looked into Keith's phone records and were able to extract data from his phone. It was at that point that police confirmed not only did Keith plan this murder, he went to Pensacola with the intention of killing his ex, but his own mother knew about the plan. Not only that, but she encouraged him, calling him a bitch if he didn't go through with it. As we know, the two texted back and forth about why Keith was upset, what he was going to do, how he was going to do it, as well as when and where he was going to do it, with his mom suggesting that he do it now, providing him Brooklyn's current location. Because of that, 50-year-old Sheila Agee was arrested and charged with principal to first-degree murder for the death of 18-year-old Brooklyn. Not only did she help plan it, but she knew that Brooklyn was in imminent danger, knowing that Keith was driving 90 minutes to kill her. After Sheila's initial bond hearing, her lawyer actually claimed that those text messages were taken out of context, that they weren't what they looked like. But obviously, we know what those texts mean, we know the context, and we know that she knew what Keith was going to do. So, Sheila's request for bail was denied, and she currently awaits her trial in jail.
The report shows the texts began just hours before the shooting, around 10:30 in the morning, and go until almost 1 in the afternoon. It adds Sheila Agee failed to alert authorities of the plan despite Keith Agee traveling over an hour and a half to Pensacola from Calvert, Alabama, plus another 40 minutes following their last communication. Her lawyer in court on Thursday insisting the texts were misconstrued.
She is a principal to the alleged incident. The majority of the evidence that the court has reviewed is text messages that were taken out of context. And, Your Honor, to my knowledge, she has little or no prior criminal history that would support such a charge.
Keith's trial for first-degree murder started just a few months later in December of 2023. The prosecution was arguing that Keith made the decision to kill Brooklyn after he got those results of the STD test. He immediately texted his mom, letting her know of his decision. He then drove to his home, got his gun, and drove for 90 minutes with the intention of shooting and killing Brooklyn. However, Keith's defense took a different approach. They obviously couldn't argue that Keith wasn't responsible. He was literally caught on CCTV footage shooting Brooklyn. Instead, they were looking to get lesser charges of second-degree murder. Keith did testify at the trial in his own defense, and he said that after finding out he had gonorrhea, he was shocked, angry, and hurt. He went to his home, grabbed the gun, and drove to the Home Depot, seething in anger. However, he did not actually plan on shooting Brooklyn. He just wanted to comfort her. And, as we heard earlier, he said that once he actually got to the Home Depot, he saw Brooklyn and immediately felt calm. He was no longer angry. That was until he confronted her and she disregarded him, turning around and walking away. According to Keith, it was in that moment that he got upset and decided to shoot Brooklyn. Therefore, it was a heat-of-the-moment type of thing, not a premeditated murder.
I proceeded to leave work and head straight to my house.
What did you go to your house for?
I went to retrieve my firearm.
Did you let anyone else know about your diagnosis?
My mother.
Why did you tell her?
Because I knew that she and Brooklyn worked close in hand. I knew they worked the same job and they talked back and forth a lot.
Did you know where Brooklyn was at that time?
Not till my mother informed me.
After you were informed you had an STD, how did you feel?
Enraged, betrayed, hurt.
And the text messages are in evidence. You intend to get revenge on Brooklyn?
Yes, I intended to.
When you arrived at the Home Depot, was it your intention to shoot Brooklyn?
Not fully. And what I mean by that is I was enraged until I arrived on aisle 52. When I got to aisle 52, seeing Brooklyn brought sort of a sense to me, brought me back down to earth, you know. Being hot the whole way there, driving mad, seeing her kind of brought me back down to earth. So I remember pointing out my finger. I never got close enough even to touch her. I said, "Hey, you gave me something." And she said, "Not this again," and turned around and proceeded to walk off from me.
How did that make you feel?
I've never been so mad in my life.
What happened next?
I pulled my firearm from my waistband and I proceeded to shoot Brooklyn.
Now, I want to note that when completing Brooklyn's autopsy, they did test her for STDs just to confirm or deny what Keith thought. And it turned out that Brooklyn actually did not have any sort of STD. Keith got the STD from someone else and murdered Brooklyn, the mother of his child, for absolutely no reason. And what's even more tragic is that Brooklyn never got the chance to defend herself. Keith never straight up asked her if she slept with someone else, never gave her the chance to get tested herself. Instead, he acted purely on emotion, shot her without ever even giving her a chance to defend herself. I did do some light research into the subject of when gonorrhea can show up in men. Most of the times, symptoms do start within a week or two of infection. Sometimes it can take up to a month. But there are still many cases where someone doesn't show symptoms for several months. I was able to find that out with one simple Google search. So if Keith had just taken the time to either ask the person who called him from urgent care, how long it takes for the symptoms to show up, or if he just did a simple Google search, he would have seen that it was 100% possible that the person he slept with 2 months prior could have actually been the person who gave him that disease. Not that she deserves to meet the same fate as Brooklyn by any means, nor did Brooklyn deserve to be shot even if she did give him that STD. But at least it would have given him the time to think it through. And this might be a hot take, I don't know, but in my opinion, when someone does get an STD, as devastating as that news is, each person has their own personal responsibility to blame. Obviously, I'm not talking about people in committed relationships where someone goes out and cheats and brings home an STD to their partner. Obviously, I'm not talking about those individuals, but if you are sleeping with multiple partners, or you have an open relationship, or even an on-again, off-again relationship where your partner might have slept with other people during the off period, then it is up to you to get tested regularly and to wear protection. Keith is 100% in the wrong for blaming everybody but himself. He got that STD because of his own actions, and it is his responsibility to make sure that he gets himself tested regularly. Either way, at the trial, the prosecution also brought forward the text messages between Keith and his mother, which showed clear as day that he fully planned the murder. They also heard from the witnesses who were there at the scene when the entire situation went down. At the end of the trial, the jury was sent off for deliberations, and after deliberations, they came back with their verdict. They found that Keith Agee is guilty of premeditated first-degree murder, and they sentenced him to life in prison.
Count 1, guilty of first-degree murder as charged.
It's rare to have such a track record of what your thoughts were, what someone's thoughts were, what they intended to do, the acts they took to do it, and the culmination of it. It's rare that a premeditated murder is literally laid out right in front of a jury. You got mad and blamed her for something that, in disgusting irony, wasn't even her fault. And had you taken any time to think about it, you would have found that out.
The court also heard from Agee himself, who before the verdict appeared unfazed throughout the trial.
I think about Brooklyn every night. Every night before I go to sleep, I pray. I pray for the case. I pray for Brooklyn. I have regret is the understatement, please.
Of course, after hearing the verdict, Brooklyn's family is happy that there is justice for their beautiful little girl, but they are devastated at the loss. Brooklyn's mother said at the trial that she doesn't hate Keith, but she isn't ready to forgive him. In that moment of misguided rage, he took a father, a mother, and a grandmother away from his own 2-year-old daughter.
I don't hate Mr. Agee, but I can't forgive him here. I'm raising his daughter. That day, Casey lost her mother, her father, and her grandmother.
As of right now, that is where the case sits. We have not yet seen Sheila go to trial, and I'm not exactly sure when her trial is set to take place, but I am really looking forward to what will happen with that. I hope she also gets the most amount of time behind bars as possible. She absolutely could have prevented this entire thing, whether she tried to talk Keith out of it, whether she warned Brooklyn or called the police. All of those things could have prevented this, but instead, she helped her son plan the murder of his daughter's mother. And that is absolutely unforgivable. As with any recent and ongoing case, as soon as we know about what happens with Sheila, I will let you all know, whether it be with a new video, but more likely I will just update the description box to let you guys know, unless there's a lot more information that comes out. I think this is a pretty cut and dry case, so once we find out more about what happens with Sheila, I will let you all know in the description box below. But that is all I have for today's case, and now I really want to hear what you all think. Do you agree with the verdict that this was first-degree murder, or do you believe Keith's testimony? What do you think about Sheila's role in all of this? Why do you think she helped Keith plan this and was okay with him killing the mother of his child? Let's discuss this and any other thoughts that you have in the comments below. If you liked this video, please make sure to go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I put out new true crime and mystery videos every single week. Don't forget to turn that notification bell on so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Make sure you follow my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. All will be linked down below. And don't forget to check out Rocket Money by using the link down below, heading to rocketmoney.com/RachelShannon and try premium for even more features. If you have any case suggestions, please make sure to fill out the Google form, which is also listed down below. With that, I hope you guys have an amazing week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.